Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Here with another Listens of the Month. This time is for September. Figured I'd start catching up, obviously. In the meantime, like in between work, I got like a little bit of free time, so easy to do videos like this. I figured I'd just like go ahead and just get them out of the way. Plus, I just love talking about music to begin with, so it's a little bit of a middle ground. So we're going to go over everything that I listened to in September. Same rules apply as the August video. If you watch the beginning of that one, I go over a little bit about like how this works. So I'm not gonna waste really any time doing that here. Just gonna get right into it. So going to make myself smaller right here. And yeah, first listen of the month. Excuse me. For September was Joji's Nectar. Absolutely love this album. It was September 1st when I went to go see him. I think it might have been the first tour date on the Smithereens tour. No, because Smithereens just came out. Uh, I'm not sure if he called this the Smithereens tour. He only played one song off of it when I saw him. Anyway, I re-listened to Nectar again because it's just a fantastic album, front to back. Absolutely love it. I've loved Joji since the Pink Guy days, the Filthy Frank days, obviously, and he's a fucking genius. I don't know how he creates such just crushing, heartbreaking ballads and just such powerful tunes. It's quite it's wonderful, honestly. Strongly recommend this one. We'll move on from there. The Still EP from Nine Inch Nails. I also strongly recommend this one. It is an amazing listen. Very, very much stripped back, very acoustic, lots of piano. My God, some really powerful tracks on this one. Fucking, the persistence of loss is amazing, and all that could have been. My God, and the renditions of songs that came out before this was released, something I can never have. The version of that on this is just crazy. As well as the day the whole world went away. It's great. It's a great EP. Next is Machine Heads of Kingdom and Crown. Of course, I strongly recommend this one because it's it's an amazing Machine Head record. They really, really impressed me, and so far, it's probably my album of the year. Like no joke. So listening to this back in September, it was just me more familiarizing myself with it, and it still fucking holds up. Obviously, I mean this is back in September, so I did listen to it more than once this month. It's great. Give it a listen. After that, we got Baroness's Red album. It's very solid front to back. The first three songs alone are magnificent. I Isaac is probably my favorite Baroness song. Kind of hard to say, but overall, it's not my favorite Baroness album. I think they do have better work later on in their career, but this is their first full length, and yeah, it's a sludge metal classic for sure. Speaking of classics, Typo Negatives, Bloody Kisses, a gothic metal, industrial ish, I guess you could say alt metal, classic for sure. It's a great record. Like I can't tell you how many times I've gone back to uh, Black Number One, especially Christian Woman. Absolutely love that track, but as well as tracks like Summer Breeze. Even We Hate Everyone's really fun, real punky. Like I love when they bring out the punkiness, like for sure. Love Type of Negative. After that, we have the EP Monsters from Vola. Absolutely love Vola. Amazing band. This is their second EP, their second overall release. So they released it about 4 years before In Mazes, and this EP marks like a growth in their sound, and eventually they refine it on In Mazes, and it's really good. Very very solid EP. I love Controllable, and especially I Am Not Here. Love that track. Enter is good. Fantastic. Check out Vola. In Flames, Sounds of a Playground Fading. This was me continuing going through In Flames' discography. So this was my first time listening to this album front to back, and it's solid. It's a good album. I would say it's their last like really good release so far, at least. You can kind of tell they're like shifting more in the radio rock direction. This is probably their most, like, arguably their most successful album, if we're being honest. But it's good. Like the first half of it is like just very very solid. Then it kind of just wanes off in the second half. Where the Dead Ship Swell is a great song, obviously played on the radio. But yeah, moving on from there. First Nile album. Oh God, I got. Excuse me, I gotta find the name here. Amongst the Catacombs of Nefrenka. It's been a very long time since I've listened to this, let alone visited the Nile discography. And damn, this album is freaking heavy. The riffs are great. The songs are great. The production, like the guitars sound really, really good. I very much enjoyed revisiting this first album from them. Moving on from there is Wheel's Resident Human, their second full-length album. Wasn't as much into this as Moving Backwards, but this is still very, very much a solid album. It was a first-time listen for me, but I would say like Hyperion is probably like the best track on here. It's so great. They recently came through during Aftershock. They were nearby. I probably talked about this in the August video. But I looked at their set list and they played Hyperion, and my God, would that have been amazing to see, as well as the rest of their set list for that night. I think I looked at the Ventura set list. But anyway, yeah, a solid album, really solid album for sure. Can't wait for the EP later on this week. So after that, for the month of September, we have, my God, an album that has been ruling my life for the past couple months, but especially this month. Karnivool's Themata, their first full-length album. Honestly, I cannot strongly recommend this enough. It's an absolute masterpiece in my opinion. From front to back, there are no bad songs whatsoever. I've been obsessed with this. I don't know what it is. It's powerful, it's emotive, it's heavy, it's expressive, it's progressive, very just tightly written. Like the songwriting is just fantastic. Can't get enough of the hooks, the riffs, and it's so good. I don't understand how these guys aren't like bigger than they are. Like incredibly underrated. Yeah, this one actually ended up being my album of the month, Karnivool's Themata. Next up, we have Tesseract with One. Really, really, really good album. Not the first time I listened to it. Same with Themata. I had heard it back in July, but really started getting into it in September. Anyway, Tesseract 1, really, really good. Just Concealing Fate alone, I revisited this, and like all the other tracks are great, but my God, like Concealing Fate is just absolutely wonderful. I strongly recommend this whole thing because it's great. I can go on and on about it, but I'm not going to until we get to the Concealing Fate EP, which has come up. Next up is Vows, The Great Sun. I believe this is their first full-length album, and it's great. It's got some great tracks on it. They got a really unique sound, like really, really specific. And it was great seeing them live twice. They played a handful of songs off of this one, Symbol System and the title track, as well as a few others, Losing Myself and You. Really solid, for sure. Very electronic. Give it a listen. It's definitely worth it. After that, we got UKF Drum and Bass 2015. This one's actually pretty good. It's got a handful of bangers on it. I did enjoy it more thoroughly than 2014 and 2013. But, like, of course, it's lengthy, so it is rather hit and miss. There's 20 tracks on here. And, yeah, if you're into drum and bass, like, surely you'll find some songs here to add to your playlist. But, yeah. After that, I revisited Billy Howardell's What Normal Was, and yeah, it's still quite a fucking good album. I love the absolute shit out of it. It's definitely not for everybody, but I'm really glad it subverted my expectations because it's really been growing on me. Like I've been listening to the track EXP like a lot. Like it's that one especially is like god damn. But there's just so much good shit here. I love basically anything that Billy Howardell touches. He's just an absolute wizard. I don't know how else to put it. Love him. Next up, Concealing Fate from Tesseract. This is their first EP. All 6 parts of Concealing Fate were eventually put on one, their debut full length. Obviously, I strongly recommend this one. Just, my God, like the first 3 parts alone, Acceptance into Deception into the Impossible, just perfection. You really like the vocal work is astounding. The riffs are solid. Like it's really this is a real flash in the pan moment in metal history. If you ask me, like honestly, please go check it out. Oh, and by the way, I listened to this and one multiple times in September. Same as this one, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead from Megadeth. Okay, so this was my first time listening to it. It came out this month, and it doesn't really do much for me, honestly. Like, yeah, there are some really cool riffs and ideas here and there, and some really solid tracks, like Life in Hell, and the title track's really good too, most of it at least. Night Stalkers has this like incredibly fast, 16th note riff, like that's just so tight and precise, and it goes on and on and on and on and on, like during the verses and shit. It doesn't change up until just my point is to hear that riff go on and on is a testament to how precise Dave Mustaine is to this day as a rhythm player. Like my God, like the musicianship on this is really just top notch. But overall, like there are some cringe ideas here and there. Some lyrics are like not the best. Vocals aren't the best. But you know it's not the worst Megadeth album for sure. Moving on from there, Baroness, the Blue record. Strongly recommend this one. This is a much more solid release than Red, if you ask me. Some fantastic songs on here. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to tracks like The Sweetest Curse or Swollen and Halo. Like my God, this is a great solid record, like front to back. Please go check it out. After that, we have Nothing Face with Skeletons. This was their final release before they broke up. It's a solid album. It hasn't aged really well at all. It was released at the time where this sound, this style, like around new metal and post new metal, was really prominent. A bit more radio-ish for them, not nearly as good as their other releases. It was the first time listening to for me, so I was just seeing how it compared to their other work. Moving on from there, we have Karnivool's Sound Awake. First time listen for me of this album this month, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot different from Themata, but I still strongly recommend this one. This is like peak prog for them. It's really good front to back. Goliath is a fantastic track. Dead Man, my goodness gracious. The Caldo Lore. It's really freaking great. It's their longest too, so it is a bit of a slog to get through, but fantastic regardless. And after that, we have Tesseract with Altered State. They're only one with a different vocalist, I think, and it's still really good. I did enjoy this one quite a bit. It's not as memorable, I guess you could say, as one, but it's still pretty essential when it comes to gent and prog and whatnot. Moving on from there, oh Jesus, oh my God! So this album right here, I can't wait to do a formal review of it. But it's quite seriously probably the greatest. Well, I don't know about greatest. That's a step too far. But when it comes to heaviness, this is probably like the heaviest album ever made. It's desperate. It's harrowing. It's sludgy. It's drony. It's manic. It's crushing. It's loud, abrasive. I can't really say enough good things about this album. Definitely not for the faint of heart. This album wants you dead. And I'm not the first one to say that either. Admiral Angry's Buster. Strongly recommend. It would be my album of the year if it wasn't for Karnivool's. Not year. Album of the month if it wasn't for Karnivool's Themata. Moving on from there, My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. It was great revisiting this. It's a very, very solid album front to back. Probably not my favorite. I think The Black Parade is still my favorite, but there's still great tracks on here. I'm so happy I got to see them live, and they got to play Helena. I'm Not Okay, and there's other great tracks on this too. They do the guys like this in prison. It's great. Front to back, I don't think there's really a bad track on this album for sure. Moving on from there, we have Mac Miller's Blue Slide Park. Talked a little bit about this in the August video. I felt like I was a little too harsh on it. Like it really is a solid album front to back. There are great beats. It's got like a youthfulness to it, and a nostalgia to it because, as I mentioned before, it's really more of like an album that Mac probably felt like he had to put out because of his attachment to Blue Slide Park and the memories of growing up and whatnot. And that's reflected on the title track and like songs like Loitering and Frick Park Market. It's great. I love the title track. Love Loitering. Great beat. Just it's really cool still to this day how this is the first independent album to hit number one on the Billboard charts since 1995. Like, and this was like all he had behind him at this point was like mixtapes. So like he was buzzing, and he's sorely missed. Moving on from there, I re-listened to Diamond Eyes from Deftones, and this is still easily one of my favorite albums of all time. So I strongly recommend this one. It's considered kind of a comeback album from them because there's 4 years between this and Saturday Night Wrist, which is a masterpiece in and of itself, and the passing of Chi Chang due to a car accident. And this is just such a solid album. I think the production is a little abrasive, like really loud, and could be a little bit overwhelming here and there. But like the songs really speak for themselves. Like front to back, there's not a single bad song. Every single song is absolutely fantastic. There's something great to each and every one. Beauty School is easily one of my favorite songs of all time. The title track, obviously, the ending breakdown goes so hard. I can go on and on and on and on about this fucking album, like seriously for fucking days. This whole band. Anyway, moving on from there, System of a Down's Hypnotize finally got around to finishing their discography again. And I would probably argue this is if this isn't their weakest album, then maybe it's still their album, still this album. But that doesn't mean it's bad in any fucking way. Like there are great tracks on here, like the title track, Vicinity of Obscenity, friggin' geez, Holy Mountains is just an outright masterpiece. Lonely Day is a great song, obviously as well. It's fucking Hypnotized. It's System of a Down. After that, we have Deadmau5's very first studio album, Get Scraped. Really enjoyed re-listening to this because it's easily his most disjointed. I don't mean that in a bad way. Album. It's very much all over the place. Like he does all sorts of different sounds and genres and ideas, just seeing what sticks. And like it does end up producing like some really great tracks, like really great memorable tracks. Like Careless is like wow, like that's him singing. Really, that's really cool. And of course, like bangers like 8-Bit and Edit Your Friends. The Oshawa Connection, but I also really love tracks like Intel Stat, Overdraft, and Support. Like those, like I love going back to those tracks. Real solid, really interesting. For any Deadmau5 fan, check it out, see how different it is compared to his other work. After that, first time listen for Karnivool's Asymmetry. Out of their 3 albums, the 3 full-length albums, I would say this is probably their weakest. But on this one, they explore the prog elements like even further. It's a little shorter than Sound Awake, but there's still great tracks on here. AM War, We Are. I've been like really obsessed with Eidolon, and like I basically like kind of had it on repeat. Like I had this going a few weeks back, and like I even looked at the music video for it and everything. Like, and I just broke the fuck down crying because it really spoke to me. I think a lot of their music is inspired by a former toxic relationship that the vocalist, the front man, was in, and I think Eidolon, that song particularly reflects on that. Years after it failed, I guess you could say. Masterpiece of a track for sure. After that, we have the EP from Knocked Loose, A Tear in the Fabric of Life. Comparatively, like wow, yeah, what a change, right? This album will pick you up by by the scruff of your neck and toss you against the fucking concrete over and over and over again. I don't know what it is about these guys and their ability to write just the most crushingly heavy fucking songs ever, 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 ever. And the production is just so solid. Like this EP goes so fucking hard, front to back, relentless. Riffs are incredible. I got to see Where Light Divides the Holler, God Knows, and Permanent. All three songs played live, and yeah, they'll fucking destroy you. Absolutely love Knocked Loose. After that, revisited Kin from Whitechapel, and it's real solid. It's a sensible evolution from The Valley. I mean, it's literally a sequel of sorts. So it does. It is more in that vein. The production is a slight step down, I would say. A bit more, a bit more compression than The Valley, I would say. And even though it's in the same vein, I do think it's considerably weaker, but that doesn't mean it's a bad album at all. I go back to A Blood-Soaked Symphony very, very often. Anti-Cure is probably my favorite track off of here, other than Blood-Soaked Symphony. And the title track is just fucking devastating. Like, my God, like, these guys, I'm so happy like they're just writing this music and have it be so powerful and just not giving a fuck. Just their evolution over time is remarkable to me. Moving on from there, we have the Crystal Method with Tweekend. This was a fun listen, a first time listen for me, going all the way through. It's probably not as good as Vegas in my personal opinion, but there are still some bangers on here. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to PhD. Like, holy shit, what a great album, or like what a banger of a song. As well as Wild, Sweet, and Cool, which has guitars on it from Tom Morello, as well as the song Name of the Game. Very interesting. Moving on from there, we have Machine Head, Burn My Eyes, live in the studio 2019. It's basically the Burn My Eyes lineup without Adam Duce on bass, playing through the whole Burn My Eyes album live in the studio. And it's great to hear like a fresh take on what essentially probably is arguably the best Machine Head album. I mean, you could say that about The Blackening, and I would not argue with you. But yeah, just absolutely great. Hearing them mess around in the studio is really funny. The songs are crushing. Burn My Eyes is easily one of my favorite metal albums like ever. It's fucking great. Then we have Napalm Death with From Enslavement to Obliteration. It is a band I've been meaning to like go through and just check out their whole discography, and this was next up on my to listen list, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's fucking wild. Like that's really all I can say about it. I think I listened to the original version, and like early grindcore, I can see where a lot of like newer bands get their influence from. It's not hard to see why these guys are so influential. After that, we got a real big toss up for everybody. Doja Cat with Planet Her. Yeah, obviously Doja Cat's a real big name, a real buzzing name when it comes to hip hop and R&B and whatnot. But I don't know, I have a soft spot for sure. Decided to revisit this. Well, this is actually my first time listening to the whole thing all the way through. Well, actually, okay. So my ex had actually put this album on for some fun activities, I guess you could say. And it just fit the vibe so well. I don't know what the hell it is about Doja Cat's music, but it absolutely slaps. Woman, Kiss Me More, Get Into It, yeah, like what? And probably my favorite would be Need to Know. It just, it's very, very sexy. It goes hard. Like, what can I say? I fuck you. After that, we got Bring Me the Horizon with Count Your Blessings. Yeah, revisiting this was very interesting. Like, this is OG deathcore right here. And yeah, it still goes very, very hard. 15 Fathoms Counting, Pray for Plagues, Tell Slater Not to Wash His Dick. They definitely don't sound like this anymore. That's all I can say. A classic for sure. And listening to that one made me want to also revisit the first All Shall Perish album. Very fucking heavy shit. All Shall Perish is really forgotten about, I feel like. Like this is where Eddie got his start, even though he's not on this album. But they wrote some just fucking killer tunes. I've been meaning to continue their shit, but it was nice revisiting this because I haven't really heard this since like high school. It's great. Up next, we have yet again. I think this was also listened to in August. Baroness, Green and Yellow, and yeah, I mean, I already said a lot about it already in August, but they're really great albums, especially Yellow. I strongly recommend Yellow. Green's really good, like Board Up the House and Stretch Marker, Full Song. Excuse me, but honestly, like Yellow is really where it's at for me, in my opinion. It just rocks. Cocainium, Little Things, March to the Sea, Goddammit, Eula. Anyway, moving on. For first time listen, I put on House of Balloons by The Weeknd. Really interesting. It's his first album, as far as I know, and really interesting. Like to see like where he began and like the buzz that he created, because there's definitely some sexy fucking songs in here, like High for This, Wicked Games, House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls. Like it's pretty interesting for sure, and I really need to keep going through his music. After that, we have the first Nails EP, Obscene Humanity. My God, the production is kind of crap, but they did re-record a few songs off of this one, like the title track, Lies, and Confront Them. Yes, yeah, that's the one. And they just go hard. Like it's Nails. It's going to pummel you into fucking submission. So check it out. Then we have Pussifer, Existential Reckoning. This album, guys, is really, really starting to grow on me. I fucking love it. Like honestly, Personal Prometheus is my favorite track off of here. But even Bread and Circus, which I thought was a little long-winded at first, I'm not too much into it. It's really growing on me. I'm not too big into apocalyptical anymore, but that came out at such a perfect time when the pandemic was first starting off. Like, just watch the music video. Like, that was filmed when it was all starting. Yeah, very, very solid album. I got to see basically this entire thing performed, not front to back, but live, and really every single song is either, like, solid or just fantastic. Strongly recommend. After that, we have Random Forest with Ascension. Don't remember too much about this, but I remember putting it on because I was intrigued by the ambient sound. It's more like a chillscape, and it's really. I remember it being really solid, but not much else to say about it. Then we have Nile with Black Seeds of Vengeance. Honestly, as much as I love a couple songs on here, like the title track, I think it's a step down from their debut, especially production-wise. It's not a bad listen if you're like really into like brutal death metal, and like of course their signature style is prominent here, but I think it was a step down. Worth checking out if you're a Nile fan and want to go through discography though. After that, we have Purple. Baroness's Purple. Gorgeous album. Gorgeous cover art. I could sit here and just look at it for forever. But the album itself is probably my favorite, and I strongly recommend it. Probably my favorite Baroness album. Shock Me, Morning Star, Chlorine and Wine. Like, my goodness. And my favorite track off of this is probably If I Have to Wake Up, Who Will Stop the Rain. Just beautiful. Beautiful work. Fantastic album. Check it out. Then we have Treebeard with Nostalgia. This is a really interesting post-rock, post-metal, shoegazy project. Really solid songs, like some heavy tracks here and there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, my brother and my good buddy got me into this album, and it's really good, like for sure. I have it marked down here to strongly recommend this one because if I remember correctly, I'll have to revisit it. It is that good. After that, I re-listened to Ison's Cosmic Drone. I went fanatical over them in my August video, and for good reason. Like this, it's such a good fucking album for sure. Redshift, Atlas, really the production, the singing, the slow moving, droney, shoegaze, kind of blackened in a way. It's great. After that, we have In Flames with Siren Charms. This album is a stinker. It's not good. I did not enjoy it. It was not very good. I do not recommend checking it out. Out of all the In Flames albums, this is very much the weakest, in my opinion. Moving on from there. Devin Townsend with his album Physicist. This is a really weird one in his discography. Like, a lot of people don't really like the production. It's kind of weird. The version of Kingdom on this is not nearly as good as the Epic Cloud version. But I love this record. Like, honestly, it flows from beginning to end like perfectly. It's very much energetic. It's really good. Like, it's I just don't know what it is that's just so appealing that makes me want to like go back to it. I mean, it's only like a 40-minute album, and there are solid tracks on here. Like obviously Kingdom, but there's a better version of it. But like Death and Devoid, Namaste, Irish Maiden, The Complex, very, very, very underrated track. I love The Complex, and Planet Rain. My God, a masterpiece. This is basically like a strapping young lad album because it's the same lineup, and there's a lot of heaviness. This is a pretty heavy album too. It's nowhere near on the levels of strapping young lad, but still, it's worth checking out. After that, we have Isis with Oceanic. Masterpiece. Strongly recommend. I fucking love Oceanic. My God, I really miss these guys. I wish I could see them live so I could see like these walls of sound being performed right in front of my eyes and right into my ear holes. Fantastic. False Light, Wait, Carrie. It is fantastic. After that, we have Deftones with Koi no Yokan. My God, one of my favorite albums of all time. Second favorite Deftones record. Strongly recommend. From front to back, there's not a bad song. It's a fucking masterpiece through and through. My God, just go listen to it, please. Front to back, please. Just do it. I can't. I'm gonna sit here all day if I go on and on more about it. Rosemary, goddammit. Poltergeist. Then we have Mac Miller with the Macadelic mixtape. This is very much a transitional album from him, more into like the psychedelic beats, more so introspective lyrics than ever before. Kind of weaning off the more party vibes, like, and you can kind of hear it as the album progresses, or the mixtape in this case. More talk about like drug use and just his overall feelings, his depression. Yeah, very much a transitional album, like I said. Fight the Feeling is easily one of my favorite Mac Miller songs ever. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, moving on from there. So after that, we got Karnivool with Persona. This is their second EP, or I mean, if you want to count their first EP as a demo, then their first. It's really interesting to see like where they were 4 years before Thamada, like 3 or 4 years before Thamada. It's a much edgier sound, but like the elements of like their like prog rock, prog metal is definitely in there. Fade is a really cool track. For a minute, I thought this EP was cursed because like each time I listened to it, because this is the first time I listened to it, and each time I actually did because I listened to it more than once, I was doom scrolling and like just looking at like world-ending stuff. I don't know. Like I was in like putting myself in a dark place as I was listening to it. I don't know, but it's really good though. It's a really good EP. After that, we have a string of Behemoth. Their album, The Satanist. It's obviously fucking fantastic album. Landmark black and death metal release. Deserves all the praise it's gotten over the years. I remember when it first came out and created like just such a big buzz, like big time. It's great. Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. O Father, O Satan, O Son. Messe Noir. Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer is great. After that, we have their album, I Loved You at Your Darkest. It's a lot like The Satanist, but stripped down just a little bit more. They really surprised me. I mean, it's not my first time listening to it, but like I still to this day go back to Bartzabel very often. I absolutely love that song. And then all of that was leading up to their newest album, Opus Contra Naturam, I believe is how you say it. And it's very solid. I'm still gonna have to re-listen to it, but I do remember liking them like taking a few different directions here and there. It's Very straight up like death metal. Nothing too new from them as far as I can remember. But yeah, it's still Behemoth, so you're gonna get a quality record for sure. Then we have Baroness with Gold and Gray, and if the production wasn't so crap and just blown out, and the drums weren't so overly loud, and it wasn't so overwhelming in some parts, this would be a very very great album. The songwriting really is there. Like honestly, I can't tell you how many times gone back to Tourniquet and Cold Blooded Angels. Just beautiful tracks. But even Sevens and Seasons, I think there's one that gets heavy like with blast beats. And even the final song, Pale Sun, is just great. Like I've come back to that one a whole lot too. Moving on from there, we have the new Devil Wears Prada album, Color Decay. I really do need to go back and revisit this one because it's fantastic. Like they really did cohesively put together an album that really has blended a lot of the elements of like their music over their entire career. Like it's really solid, and I really need to re-listen to it. Then we have Lantelos with Agape. Very solid black metal album. I dig the soundscapes that they compose, and it really shows in the music. Like it's real expressive. They're a great band, honestly. Like for any black metal fan, even post black, which this band mostly dabbles in. They're great. Then we have Zeal and Ardor with Stranger Fruits. Fantastic album, honestly. Like it's so from start to finish. The ideas that come to fruition, like the combination of like just this heavy friggin' riffage and like these blast beats and black metal passages and like with really accessible vocals, like stuff that you'd hear on like rock radio, but it's also at the same time just all satanic and like slave spirituals. It's so good. Like what the Gravedigger's Chant is just such a solid track that I love going back to. Like Ship on Fire is great too. You Ain't Coming Back. Like just really really interesting stuff, and it was great seeing them live at Aftershock again. Strongly recommend this one from Zeal and Ardor. Next, a local band called Mired. I might have been turned on to them by a friend, and it's very much hardcore, hardcore punk, and it goes hard. They're from sort of my neck of the woods, kind of. Demo 22, I think this one's called, even though it says Stockton, California on it. Moving on from there, Oceano with Revelation. Yeah, revisiting this one, I got pretty much nothing out of it. Like first three tracks, great, they're good, whatever, Then after that, it's just like it just takes a turn, and it's just like stops being interesting. I do not recommend this one. I am, however, looking forward to their newest album. And after that, we have Joji, his In Tongues EP, but the deluxe version, so the remixes and the two extra songs, which are fucking amazing. Plastic Taste and I Don't Want to Waste My Time. Like God, just fuck me up, dude. But yeah, obviously, like songs like Will He, which is the first Joji song I ever heard. I think, unless it was something off of Chloe Burbank Volume 1. Just, my God. And when I saw him earlier this month in September, when he played Will He, like, it was just powerful. Like, my God, I was so happy and sad at the same time. Absolutely love Joji to death. One of my absolute favorites. After that, we have Analepsy with Atrocities from Beyond. You want to talk about heavy, chunky, slammy, fucking brutal death metal. Just listen to this. Like, you want some riffs and passages that are just like they're relentless and they'll like, break your face apart. Give this a listen. Like just the first track alone, I go back to pretty often. Next up, Gorillaz with Song Machine. I actually re-listened to this because me and my buddy went and saw Gorillaz in San Francisco, and my God, they were fucking amazing. So I re-listened to this. And it's still really fucking solid. Like, it's easily some of their best work. Some of their best songs are on here. Aries, Pac-Man, Strange Times, Desolé. My God. The Pink Phantom. Really, really fucking good. Strongly recommend this one. It's Gorillaz. Next up, we have In Flames with Battles. Yeah, this one's not very good either. It's a bit more consistent than Siren Charms, but I still do not recommend this one. It's still very much a departure from what they were known for. in the 2000s. Yeah, moving on from there, Pallbearer with Foundations of Burden. Listen to this on the way home from, it might have been Gorillaz, but it's really good. Like I enjoyed it. This was the first time listening for me. It's just like Battles and Analepsy and the Zealand Ardor album, and I dug it. Like I love the way the riffs are really like slowly crafted, and yeah, they're just pieced together like so well. I'll have to re-listen to it because I don't remember too much from it, but I do remember really enjoying it and the way the vocals work with the song structures as well. But yeah, moving on from there, gave a re-listen to Meshuggah's Immutable, and I really, really want to love this album, but I can only like it. It's consistently good, but not really great. You know, there's no real standout points for me. I mean, Ligature Marks is great. The Abysmal Eye is great. But overall, like, I really hate the way the kick drum sounds. This could have been a whole lot better, but it also could have been a whole lot worse because there's still a lot of heaviness to it for sure, and it's Meshuggah. After that, we have Blonde Redhead's first album. Really interesting, like noise rock. I've been meaning to start this band's discography ever since I saw them with Tool, and finally did get started on it. And really interesting, different sounding. I really don't even know how to put it. You just have to check it out for yourself. Moving on from there, we have Gorillaz with their Meanwhile EP. I talked about a little bit in August. Yeah, just 3 okay songs that they put out in between Song Machine and what is now going to be Cracker Island. But yeah. And then we have, my God, one of my favorites, Lantelos Melting Sun. I strongly recommend this one. This is when they transition from just black metal to post metal, like entirely post metal shoegaze, and it is gorgeous. My brother showed me this because I think my friend showed him, if I remember correctly, and it's just beautiful. The first track alone, Azure Chimes, one of my most played songs of the year. Even part 2 and part 4 are also really good. So yeah, please check this out. It's really good. After that, an album I haven't heard in years and years and years. Testaments to the New Order. It really solid. Like, there are great riffs all throughout this thing. Hasn't aged very well, but it's still a classic in the thrash genre for sure. Not much else to say about it. So moving on with more black metal. This was recommended to me by a mutual friend of a mutual friend, I guess you could say. Violet Cold, Empire of Love. Now that's an album cover. That's a brutal album cover. This one really surprised me. Like, there was such a diversity like throughout the whole album. No pun intended. Just really a versatile black metal record that felt like really empowering and like uplifting. And I really enjoyed like just the whole mood and the whole vibes of this album were very much positive, and I really enjoyed listening to it for sure. After that, we have Deftones with Ohms. I went back and re-listened to this again. Like, it really is one of their like few albums that I mean, you could do it with any of their albums, but this one in particular, just listening to it front to back is so friggin' satisfying. I freaking love it. Strongly recommend. Then we have Deadmau5 with 4 times 4 equals 12. And yeah, I'm still I'm re-going through his discography, and this one is his most successful as far as I know. It takes me back to the early 2010s. Love tracks like A City in Florida and Animal Rights, even One Trick Pony, really good. Sophie Needs a Ladder, yeah, really good, fucking crushing house album. Love Deadmau5. Speaking of crushing, one of my all-time favorite records. I cannot say enough good things about this Gojira from Mars to Sirius. If you haven't heard it yet, listen to it. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? Strongly recommend. From front to back, not a single bad song. I go back to several songs on this so often. Ocean Planet's a fucking masterpiece. Backbone is so fucking good. Like every time they play it live, it never gets old. Ever. Where Dragons Dwell. My God, so fun to play on guitar. Heaviest Matter in the Universe. My God, so fun to play on guitar. And it crushes. Flying Whales, damn it. And such an underrated track. World to Come. My God. And of course, the title tracks. Yeah, I can go on forever about how great this album is. From the Sky! Anyway, moving on. Another album that was recommended to me by my mutual friend of a mutual friend. They sent me this telling me that this entire album was done by just one woman. Like everything, instruments, vocals, everything. Halder with God Slastering, Hymns of a Forlorn. And it's really interesting. It didn't stick out to me nearly as much as Violet Cold did. But for what it's worth, like it's a really solid black metal album for being done by one person, let alone a woman. Like that's very very uncommon in the genre for sure, and like it holds up like for sure. I did enjoy listening to it. Then after that we have Car Bomb with Meta. Holy cheap balls, dude! Like I can't really say enough good things about Car Bomb. This album does, I mean, I don't want to use any puns, but it is a little one dimensional, but the songs that are there are just absolutely crushing. It does seem a little samey as it goes on, but like the songs that stand out are just my God. From the Dust of This Planet is like a circle pit just opener. Like this song comes on, I just want to like become the earth. Like my God, these guys absolutely crush. Of course, other tracks like Lights Out and Gratitude. My God, Car Bomb rips. After that, we have Alice in Chains with Dirt, classic album, masterpiece. If you haven't even heard it yet, what are you doing? How have you not heard this yet? Strongly recommend. Like it's a grunge essential. Like what is there to even say? Then we have Bring Me the Horizon with Suicide Season. My brother's getting really, really into this album, and I mean, for good reason. It's heavy. It crushes for sure. There are tons of great tracks on this. The title track, Diamonds Aren't Forever, which they should have played when they freaking went to Aftershock. They never visit these albums anymore, man. Chelsea Smile, like damn, like please revisit this era. Bring Me the Horizon. Then after that, we have the very end of the month. Slipknot put out The End So Far, and as much as I did enjoy like the first time listen, probably not too crazy about it like nowadays. I mean, this is still a very new album, and there are solid tracks on this like Medicine for the Dead, the Chapeltown Rag, and the Dying Song. Acidic is really good. Hive Mind, but overall, I would probably say that this is Slipknot's weakest album. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's also not that good. And last but not least, we have In Flames with I, The Mask. This feels a whole, like, a big step up. Like, they're really starting to go, like, back in the right direction. There's definitely some heavy tracks. It's still not the best batch of songs, but it is definitely a stark improvement over Battles and Siren Charms for sure. All right, so that's my that's my September. Just a quick mention: I did listen to all Karnivool releases more than once, same as the Megadeth one. And yeah, I believe that's it. Is that all? Is that really it? Yeah, Cosmic Drone I did listen to more than once, and Megadelic. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'll put out the October video somewhat soon, hopefully. Yeah, stay tuned for that, and I will see you all very soon. Hit the like button if you could, please. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What do you think of some of these albums? Yeah, but if you didn't like it, that's okay too, because it just doesn't matter as long as you enjoy.